Hi. So today I wanted to talk to you about what you do to keep your relationship alive, right? How do you keep those fires burning in that relationship? What we know is that relationships don't just happen, right? At all. They don't just happen. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be hard work either. That's not true. It just means that there is some work involved, right? And it's being able to know when that work is required. So for me, my relationship, my previous marriage was 26 years, and well, we didn't necessarily, the passion didn't necessarily wear out in the relationship, which is what tends to happen with most long-term relationships. But what did happen was that the compatibility did. We eventually kind of just outgrew each other. Yeah, so I don't really have much more to say about it. Yeah, it happened. That happened. But I have been fortunate enough to have a second chance at love, and with that comes the beauty of hindsight and retrospection when it comes to being in a long-term relationship. So what that means is I'm fully aware of knowing that I need to show up in my relationship. Like, I need to be present and show up in that relationship all the time. It's so important, because the minute we start taking each other for granted is when we fall into this kind of downward spiral in our relationship that's really difficult to get back out of. And that is when it becomes hard work, and that's when most people start to go, oh, I'm just going to kind of brush that off, and you start writing it off as a relationship, right? So it's being really conscious of where that is, where you have to do the hard work. So I guess the things that you can do, and there are some things that you can do, and this is what I wanted to talk about today. There are some definite things that you can implement in your life and in your relationship. And the first of those is mindset, right? And mindset is so powerful, and I talk about this all the time. The power of your thoughts to drive what you do is just absolutely crucial. And so what you need to make sure of is that those thoughts are positive all the time. Like, don't allow yourself to fall into this trap of only seeing the negative, of criticizing, of making the small things into big things, of building up this kind of repertoire of nastiness, and then just kind of hoarding it all up till it gets humongous, and you're like this raging ball of fire when it comes to the next time you see your partner. So let that shit go. Like, it's not important. The small things are small things for a reason when it comes to criticizing and then the little stuff. I talked about this the other day, about loving somebody for the whole package, warts and all. And we tend to forget that when we're in a long-term relationship. So love them for everything. Don't sweat the small stuff when it comes to this. Let that shit go, right? Second thing I want you to think about when showing up for your relationship is be gorgeous. Stay gorgeous. What does that mean? It means, like, do all the things that you do to feel and be gorgeous. Dress up, get your hair done and your nails and your beauty, and go to the gym. Do whatever it is that you do to make yourself look and feel gorgeous. Because trust me, he's going to appreciate that just as much as you are. It's a win-win situation here. Now, the third thing I wanted to talk about, and this is a biggie, ladies, okay? It's intimacy, right? Now, we have to work at this one, ladies. We really do. And I'm not just talking about sex here. Because anybody who's been in a long-term relationship knows that, sexually, you're never always on the same sync. You're not always in sync with one another all the time, right? Sometimes you're way up here, he's down here, and vice versa. What happens, though, is that when we are apart like this, there's a tendency to kind of go, okay, well, I might just wait this one out and see what he does first. It's a bit of a Mexican standoff, right? Like, he's not giving me the attention I need, and he's going, well, I ain't getting any sex. So, you're both ending up staying in this place, and it becomes comfortable, right? And what we know is that when we're comfortable in a place, it's really, really hard to get us out of that place again. So you have to work. This is where the work happens. You got to work at continually bringing yourselves back to this place, right? How do you do that? Well, it's actually kind of simple. Touch, kiss, holding hands, snuggling, like real kisses, not just good night, darling, but kisses. Remember what they feel like. Looking at each other in the eyes. When was the last time you did that with your partner? Look them in the eyes when you're making love. Freaking powerful stuff, you know? You feel like one, and that's what it should feel like, right? Remember that. That's exciting stuff. Bringing that passion back in. Thinking sexy thoughts, sending sexy messages, complimenting one another. You know, all of these things that add to the intimacy that relationships should have. This is what's going to bring us back from there to there all the time, okay? You must remember that. I think what happens is that we settle there and it just becomes too hard. We almost put it in the too hard basket, and we don't want to do that, right? So I have what I call the 9-day challenge. And there is a science to the 9 days. Trust me, I haven't just pulled that number out of my hat. It has to do with learned behavior and so on and so forth, but we haven't got time for that right now. 9 days, I ask of you ladies, I want you to try this, okay? 9 days of sex every day. Whether you feel like it or not, give him 9 days. 9 days of sex, okay? 9 days of intimacy and touch and kissing and cuddling and holding hands. He's probably going to have to give that to you because men don't often like to do those kind of things. But 9 days of that, right? Of positive, sexy thoughts and messages and compliments. 9 days. 9 days. I want 9 days of it. And trust me, even if you don't feel like it, it is going to start working. You will feel very differently about your partner. Trust me here, okay? Let's do this 9-day challenge. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the little things, like the 1%ers is what I call them. You know, one of the advantages we have when we're in a long-term relationship over those who are newbies is that we're so familiar with our partner. We know what those things are, the little things that mean so much to them. We know what those are. And so we've got to take advantage of that, ladies, right? The small things, you know what they are. Don't forget about those, okay? I know a woman once who said to me that even when she and her husband would have this massive big argument and, you know, they would storm off to bed and what have you, he would still every time religiously bring her coffee up to bed the next morning. Most of the time he was gritting his teeth when he was doing it, but he did those things because he knew how important that was to her, those special little things. So this is the difference between being in it and being in it forever. And that's got to be what we want, right? Isn't that the aspiration after all? The goal is to be in this forever. Nobody gets into a relationship to be temporary, do we? We want to be in here forever. So make the effort, show up for your relationship, be gracious with your partner. And by all means, I want you to hit me up with some comments and some feedback. I want to hear how your 9-day challenge went. Let me know how that goes. All the best. I look forward to hearing from you.